daily and intraday timeframes have settled into a little bit more of a balance inside this basing range structure. We now have a multi-week basing structure. Let's talk about the best trades from the week of July 13th, review the higher time frame structure, some of the price action inside this range, and plan for what to watch for next week. Now, on weekly and daily time frames, buyers still have full control, although with the range highs around 63.35, some other important resistance pivot at 63.15, the range lows at 62.53 to 60, this area demand zone down here at the bottom, and some other important pivots in the middle. The plan coming into this week was to follow your basing range rules and look to fade the edges and look for shorts, and especially look above and fail above the range highs, and longs towards the bottom of the range into this 62.60 to 62.53 area, especially any traps underneath 62.60, or a look below and fail for that range traversal. So looking for those range traversals, looking to avoid trading in the middle, and especially looking for look below and fail for that range traversal up into the range highs. We got multiple textbook traversals out of this basing range this week. We did have the look above and fail, which saw that full range traversal down into the range lows. We did gap down early on Sunday right into those range lows around 62.60, and did end up sweeping that evening low and getting that full range traversal back up into the range high. So very good, basing range rules this week, and some really good action and large rotations if you were able to look for longs in that area, shorts in that area. Typically the action in the middle of this, especially around 6,300, was a little bit more difficult to play, especially if we were in the middle of one of these range traversals. Typically, if we're on a range traversal up, you want to find a way to get long on a dip and continue to ride this momentum. And the same thing on the way down. Once you get a look above and fail and you start that range traversal down towards the range lows, you really want to avoid trying to buy the dip and knife catch on the way down. Typically this is going to want to rotate all the way down through the range, so a little bit trickier action, especially if you were trying to long during one of these range traversals down. Several of the best trades of the week did come in the London session on failed breakdowns. It's been a pattern we've seen lately where the London session tends to get a failed breakdown that ends up leading into one of those trend moves back up the range. We saw that multiple times. However, the number one setup, the top setup for this week was that look below and fail the entire range lows and the prior week low, where we swept all prior lows into 62.40, and we're able to reclaim that 62.60 area for the full range reversal. That we saw that on Wednesday in the New York session, and you can see anytime you put a wick like this through such an important demand zone and trap the prior week low, you can see the momentum and the short covering from trap shorts in this area. We saw the full range reversal up, and eventually we're able to clear the range highs into Friday. Overall, a bit of a fumble by sellers on that after this range low was fairly weak to get that sell-off underneath 62.60, underneath 62.53, and underneath the prior week low, and not be able to maintain that. So if you get a sell through the prior week low, you have to keep 62.60 offered. Sellers needed to see continuation down through the prior week low, and especially if they were to back test 62.60, you have to defend there and then see continuation down. And if you don't, you get this extremely powerful short covering and momentum setup as longs come back in and initiate their positions back above 62.60, and you see the result of that right back up to the top of the range, and this time we're able to clear 63.35 and test new all-time highs into 63.52. If you remember, that was actually the top watch from the weekly plan last week, was to watch for a look below and fail that looks like this, and we got that exact setup and an amazing rally out of that. Into the week, buyers did finally try to push through 63.35 again, made a new all-time high. However, unable to hold above 63.35 so far, rejected 63.52 on Friday's OPEX trading session. So as far as the weekly plan for next week, the key will be to see whether or not buyers can push back and reclaim 63.35 and hold above that in order to try to clear 63.52 in order to test 63.78. If sellers are able to defend 63.35 6335 and hold below that area, it favors a rotation back down the range towards 6300 in the midpoint, and if 6300 fails, that favors that rotation back into the range lows, 6260 area again. Barring any headlines, the Sunday open and Monday trading session will be important in deciding, kind of setting the tone for the rest of the week, whether or not we're going to be able to try for continuation back through 6335 early on, or if we need to rotate back down into the range and trade inside the range a little bit longer. We still, into next week, likely going to be trading, so those same basing structure rules apply. Monitor for continuation above the range. If you get failure here, look for rotation back to the midpoint, down to the range lows, and then if you get into the range lows, monitor for continuation underneath the range lows for a base breakdown that would finally see a little bit of reversion lower back into some of these prior pivots from this rally that we had back in June.